Tuesday, Pashas Kisisu, Pirim Kuten, Freilich Pirim Kuten for jeden. Yesterday we went to discussion who's responsible to be mechanech the kids. So inherently the Chazal, Metakonas Chazal imposed the responsibility of being mechanech the kids is on the father. However, we have mentioned yesterday from Rabbeinu Yoine, Shilu HaKudosh, and Mishnah Brira that although the Chinuch was imposed on the fathers to be mechanech, but however the mothers are also included in this requirement to be mechanech their kids and invest time in their kids' time and efforts to put the kids in the right track in life, to be mechanech them. As Shilu mentioned that due to mothers are spending the more time with the kids because the fathers are at the job site and the mothers are at home, so therefore they have more time, more ability to spend time with their kids. So in that time, of course, the mothers, they have to entertain their kids and spend time with them just some time, but also in between they need to invest certain time and efforts to be mechanech their kids. So here's as we defined yesterday, Chinuch is basically the outlook on Chinuch is a teamwork, which contains two sides. One side, one power, the father power, and the other power is the mother power, and together need to work and to put efforts and koiches to be mechanech their kids. Today we'll discuss another level of the introduction. The Chinuch is bad, so we're constantly saying Chinuch Habonim, but in truth, it's not in the chiyuv of responsibility with mechanech is not only their sons, but also the daughters. Meaning to say the same amount of time people are investing in their sons to be mechanech them, limud Torah, midas tovos, and mitzvahs, kima mitzvahs. Also, the same amount of efforts has to be invested also in their daughters. The Machzas HaShekel and Rachaim is Siman Shimem Gimel, and Ktsois HaShulchan and Siman Samahei, they're saying it, they're pointing out this Nakuda very clear, that the same amount of time and efforts the parents are investing in their sons, they need to invest also in the daughters. In fact, the Sefer Maznayim LeMishpat from Rav Sorotzkin in Shua Sefer, Simon Mem Beis, and also Divrei Yoel, the Satmar Rebbe, Pasha Shmois, they're pointing out that this is a very interesting Nakuda, that it's far more important to invest in the Chinuch Abonos, to invest in to be mechanech their daughters versus the sons. Why? Because sons, they have connection to Torah. Sons are mechuyev. They're the mechuyev to learn Talmud Torah, and when a son learns the Gemura, Chimesh, whatever he learns, the material that he is into provides him with that knowledge how to be mechanech himself, certainly how to live life, proper Yiddish life. Versus the daughters, the females, they're not included in the chiyuv of Talmud Torah. So really, there's no opportunity for them. They're not introduced, they're not exposed to information where the information material can provide them with that knowledge how to live Yiddish life. Therefore, Maznayim LeMishpat, Rav Sorotzkin, Divrei Yoel, both are stating gewaldige Nakuda. It's far more important for parents to invest time in the daughters because they're lacking that chiyuv of Talmud Torah and educate them, to introduce them what the Yiddish life is about, versus the sons. Or maybe today's days the chiyuv are equal because not every boy or bocher or someone chederingo has such a geschmack and such a tendency to learn. So therefore, today's became equal rights, but inherently that will be this is enough. That's the difference between the girls and boys. Girls are in Talmud Torah, therefore the material itself provides them with that knowledge, and that chinuch, the material itself, is mechanech them how to live proper life, versus the girls, they're not exposed to this material, so they're lacking that information how to live Yiddish life. And if the parents won't introduce them to this information, won't expose them, won't educate them, they won't know how to live Yiddish life. So that's therefore, as the Rav Sarosky are saying, that it's far more important to be in tune with the girls versus the boys. There's very clear definition from Pele Yoetz how to be machana the girls. The Pele Yoetz Erech HaChinuch states as follows: There's a chiyuv to be machana the bonus. There's a chiyuv to be machana the girls. To train them in all midos, as he will count right now. Number one, you have to be machana the girls. You have to train girls. You have to introduce girls to midas toivus, the shleimus. It means to say to introduce them to the concept of shleimus and nefesh. Number two, I think it's very much applies. Number two is very much applies to our generation. It's more important, Peleyot states, to introduce the girls, to educate the girls, to be happy what they got. To be happy what they got. Sometimes, the girls growing up, they're not being educated to be mistapel b'miyah, just to be happy what they got in life. And it's sometimes, at a lot of times, and at majority of times, it can cause very big conflict in the marriage life. So to prevent the conflict in the marriage life, because the girls want more vacation, clothes, dresses, housing, and so forth. To prevent that marriage conflict, it's imposed upon the parents to educate and be mechanech their daughters, their girls, to concept of mistapel b'miyah, to be happy what they got. Number three, she'anayim v'she'iyu aynayim yufois. They should have a positive outlook on life and good heart. It's very important for parents to educate the girls, to be mechanech the girls, to have a positive outlook on life, good eye on the bria and the creation on the people. Just be positive, have a positive outlook and good heart. Number four, shletienu atzluniois v'lo dabruniois. It's number four. Palio is saying it's the parents. The responsibility of parents is to educate, to be mechanech their girls. They should not be atzluniois. So it should not be. Jacques Follow mentioned. They should not be lazy. V'lo dabruniois. Jacques Yentes. You have to talk. You have to talk and reden. You have to speak and talk and reden Sachen, but not the brunias, not to be yentes, not to run kriechen. What's going on? That home, that girl, this girl, that girl. Just arim yantev and just yantev around. It's something the girls need to be introduced to. So when they grow, when they get to the stage of being a growing female, they should be well trained, not to be lazy, not to be the brunio, is not to be yentes. Number five, v'sheta'ase kol ma'aseu bezrizus u'benekiyes u'bekashers u'beyihadus v'chol seider nushim akshayres be'oifen shi halaliye b'she'ore ma'aseu batim tzachayim v'saychal toiv be'yoyses hiras alabunois. A gewaltige statement. Number five, the Pele Yoed says that it's important for parents to educate the girls. They should do things bezrizus. Should be clean, and do things bezrizus. And Bechlal, to introduce the girls to Seider Anushim. There is a called Seider Anushim, the femininity to be a female. It's becoming shiur. Will take apart every single number that he is counting, every single concept that he's counting here. But there is a concept being called Seider Anushim. And to say it's very important for parents to tell the daughter, to educate the girl that she's a girl, she's not a boy. there's certain behavior which is belongs for a girl to behave, and there's certain behaviors like certain manners that the girl needs to be, go have like let's eating manners. There's a manner of how the boys eat and how the girls eat. There's a seder illusion. There's a concept called the to live within her original creation. She is a girl and she needs to live girlish lifestyle. Seder illusion. Number 6, olachanacho largila bebruchois haanuis betfilois of mitzvahs nida vechalo melicha shtebikio bohem bechol digdoteim bechol dinei bechol dinim. Mitzvahs anushim shetiyem melamdo bechol mido midia lemido. Number 6, Peleioid states that it's important for parents to be mechana their girls tzimach bruchos berachas anehenen, properly berachas anehenen. It's bruchos on the food, and neglavasser, ashayotzer, berachas anehenen, berachas ashvach, and certain berachas amitzvahs with their shaykh too. It's important because some girls, they're not being educated, just eating without the brachas. But part of the chinuch of what parents are responsible for is to be mechanech the girls to bruchas what they need to make. Number 7, shetiyeh tznuah. It should be humble. Again, tznius is not only, as I have spoken many times, tznius is not only, it's not a behavior. Tznius is identity. Tznius is who a person is. Meaning to say, we are highly focused tznius on let's say on only dress wise, but tznius is a midah. It's not a behavior. There is a certain behavior of being isha tznua. It's very global statement. The definition of being ish tznua, meaning to say there is a big difference when a isha, a girl who is a tznius, the way she talks, and the way in the tznius when in the way of talking of isha not tznius. Although sometimes we see that we're seeing a lady, she dressed very tznius, but her talk is not comparable to her dress. Meaning to say that she etzem internally, she's not isha tznuah. She's just tznuah externally, but not internally. Tznius is an internal midah, internal concept that it based on that pattern. Tznius pattern, all the behavior go. There is a way how the isha tznuah talks. There is a way, of course, there's a way how isha tznuah looks, and then of course how there's a difference how isha tznuah looks and thinks and conducts her life. Tznius is not only a concept that applies only in the dress manner. Tznius is its internal midah that according to this midah the girl should conduct all her internal life. Like you see a clear difference how the isha tznuah talks. Although sometimes her dress code is not that chumardik, but she's be'etzem internally she's isha tznuah. Again, sometimes you see ladies who are dressed very tznius, but the way they talk and the way they have the desires they have is complete contradicts the mid of tznius. So it's important for parents to introduce and educate their girls, their daughters, to a midas tznius, meaning install and introduce and educate and train the girls to adopt midas tznius. Midas tznius means that to have that generator, what calls midas tznius, which will generate a tznius behavior. And again, tznius is not something which is applied just by dress code. And Be'ezus Hashem we'll discuss it in the comic shiur. So there is 7 important nekudas that Peleioid is counting, which is number 1. Number 1 is to be shleimus. It's a responsibility on parents to introduce and educate their girls to shleimus nefesh, that there is a higher level of lifestyle to achieve that shleimus nefesh in midas tevus. Number 2 is a responsibility on parents to educate b'machana the girls to be happy what they got in life, just to be happy. It's a major concept and very important that prevent will be a major favor for the daughters when the parents from younger years will talk and educate and encourage and embrace just to be happy, that needed to be happy, just to be happy in what they got. Of course, if the parents themselves are not Misameh B'chalkoi, it's very hard to project to be happy with Misameh B'chalkoi. As we'll discuss it, but it's a very important concept, which is one of the biggest favors that we can do for our girls is to embrace midas Misameh B'chalkoi. It will prevent a lot of marriage conflicts in their future life. Number 3, they should have a very positive outlook and good heart and tznius, as we discussed. But as I mentioned before, we'll discuss it. Everything will be taken part by every single oyus and every single number will take part upcoming shiurim. Chofetz Chaim states in Lekutei Halachos, Paira Gimel. Chofetz Chaim wrote a sefer on the Shas, has Lekutei Halachos, and Paira Gimel Masechet Soite. So Chofetz Chaim says that although there is the noshim are not mechuyev and Talmud Torah, they're not. There's no chiyuv for them to learn Torah. However, Chofetz Chaim says that it all was this ptor, and that not to have chiyuv to learn the Torah. It was only in those days. Bisman Talmud the world was more clear, more cleaner. But today's day, Chofetz Chaim says, "Shav shelechatchila ein limud noshim av lo Torah shebeksav." We should not educate. And Gemara grad the whole machlokes the noshim machul Talmud Torah nish bechlal they allowed to learn Torah. Av shelechatchila taka ein limud noshim av lo Torah shebeksav. Zeu davka bizmanom was applied in those days. Shekabbalah so always was chazak me'oid. Was a very always the parents were very strong, were well educated people, were Torah people. So it was after those days. But today's generation, but when the Sender Rabbi Shekabbalah so always is ogeshwacht, it became weaker. Not always kids live with the parents. It's mitzvah rabba to learn with the girls chumash, rashi, neviim, ksuvim, and musar and chazal, mishnais. Always, they should have a connection and relationship with our emunah, with Yiddishkeit. If the girls won't be educated, won't be introduced and from the Nevi'im, Ksum, Chumash, Tanakh, and Gemura, Chazal, to the Yiddishkeit, they won't have the Ilavuke Ulil Shiyasr Legam Mederech Hashem, Vayavra Lesodis Adas Chas V'Shalom. He's saying today's day is a different world. We have to accept that. Today's generation is not generation as was before, even before the war, even 10 years ago. We have different generations. So we have to be in tune with today's day, with 2022, and a lot of changes. People have that fears to recalculate and rewire their outlook on life, and they're being mechanic their kids the way they were mechanic 60 years ago, which is one of the biggest mistakes that parents got. Today's day, a parent has to be in tune of 2022 year and apply and live in this life and educate his child according to today's day, according to today's generations, according to today's matzav, what the matzav ador is. If a parent won't submit to it, won't surrender to this concept, and will try to push and try to educate and be mechana his kids the way he was mechana 50 years ago or even 20 years ago, he won't succeed. Chinuch being the beauty of Chinuch is that Chazal provided us with information, that this information can be applied at any time and in any generation. We just have to properly pull out make certain tools more important, certain tools are less important. Everything to do, the levels of ups and downs in Chinuch and in tools has to do with generation, with the child, and with environment, and the Zman. So therefore, the Chofetz Chaim times was that you have to learn the Gemura Chazal, which is avada nicht the lomdische Gemuras, the Shaykh, which does not create the relationship to Yehadis, but the Gemuras and Agudas Chazal, Masechtas always in Tanakh, that will provide the girls with the proper information, how to conduct and how to live, and how beautiful it is to live a Yiddish life, and Yiddish life, Torah life, and life with Hashem, to have a relationship with Hashem. One of the reasons why we crumble and our chinuch and people are just going, the kids are going and looking for different stuff on the outside in the secular world, is because they don't see and they don't feel the joy of the Yiddishkeit, the joy of lifestyle, Yiddish lifestyle. Only one thing they see, the boogeymans here around them, which keep on controlling and doing certain controlling and forcing them to do stuff, and therefore that makes them drop off and just go and go look for different things elsewhere. So we have to accept this concept that chinuch, things being changed, generation changed, age generation changed, the approach to chinuch automatically has to be changed. We see it many times. The Chazal are working with today's day, Mishtabrira and Haluch and Shulchan. A lot of times we find Nishtanu Bizman Hazeh, Aba Bizman Hazeh, Yor D'Chil Shel Oilam. It's a lot of examples we can bring, it's endless examples in the Chazal, in Shulchan, that Nishtanu Azman, Nishtanu Azdan, times change. We have to adopt different way. Avada Torah digi way, and be'etzim, if you look deeper in Torah, you do find certain concept which is mamish on target on today's generation. So now the question remains, what does chinuch mean? So I keep on using education. Maybe it's not the right definition of chinuch, but we have to, in order to be mechanech kids properly, first we have to understand what does chinuch mean. What does chinuch mean? Yeah, what does chinuch mean? I think this question should be asked before people get married and answered also. So when they have kids, so they have just what to do, how to be mechanech them. But it's never too late, as I said before. That once we accept and to be mechanech our kids, Hashem helps us. It's never too late. Even though some people have kids and teenagers, but remember, it's never too late. We'll never miss the boat. Ayib never misses the boat. We can always start today and succeed today. So what does chinuch mean? What does chinuch mean? In the first place, we have to understand what's the literal interpretation in chinuch. How do we translate word chinuch? And from that, we'll have more clear understanding how can execute the chinuch. We'll have clear interpretation. The word chinuch, it will help us to execute the interpretation in the practical workshop. Rashi Pashas Lechnachu defines chinuch as follows: He lushon aschulas kenisas haodom el kaili kli menusoy she usid lamed bo b'chain chanoich lanar chanikas abayis chanikas amizbayim chanikas abayis. Rashi is interesting agdor. He's saying a very, very interesting definition, which out of box, out of conventional interpretation, conventional understanding. What does chinuch mean? Rashi defines chinuch as lushan haschulas kenisas haodam eklayim menusa. Chinuch is introduction to the job in which he will be. That's what chinuch means. As I said yesterday, it's before we execute chinuch, first we need to organize and bring together the consciousness and to see what the goal is. To bring consciousness, is very important to know the interpretation of chinuch. Interpretation of chinuch, as Rashi says, is introduction to the job in which he will be. That's what chinuch. That's how we translate chinuch. And Rambam and Peresh HaMishnah Masechtas Menuchas Parik Dalet Bishadalet says the same as Rashi. So we have Rashi and Rambam, the biggest poiskim, the biggest Rishonim, translating, interpreting. Lushan chinuch is introduction to the job in which he will be. It's very important to get it and hear it and put it clear in front of your mind. That's your job. To be more specific, it's like, let's say a person looking, an employer are searching for employee. So let's say he's looking for a salesman. So he's keep on meeting a bunch of people, and he got, to be a salesman, it requires to earn certain skills. So first you see what kind of skill. When you're meeting a person, the smart employer first searching for the skills that it requires for a salesman to have. And then he likes him, he still is qualified for the job, and then he takes him, right? Then he trains him how to make sales, meaning what kind of product he was going to sell. First he got the skills. You see what kind of skills he got, number one. Number two, he's searching where can we use the skills of the salesman, what kind of product he's good at, and giving the product is comparable to his skills, and let him go sell, and then let him go to make a sale. So same way as Chinuch. Chinuch is, first we have to know our child. We have to know the child, number one. We have to study our kids. Number two, we have to see what the child is good at. Number three, we have to provide him the lifestyle and actions which is comparable to his nature, comparable to his skills. And then encouraging him in that introduction to the job in which he will be. Meaning to say, giving him, studying who the boy or girl is, what kind of skills they got, what kind of nature they have, and according to their nature, according to their skills, you are providing them with the jobs which are comparing to their personalities, to their skills, and then you're encouraging and guiding them how to execute with their personalities, with their jobs. You encourage them to execute the job that he gave them to do. And that's what chinuch is. Chinuch is a responsibility on parents. It's imposed a responsibility on the parents to prepare and to put the kids in certain structure and to prepare and provide the kids with certain jobs which are comparable to their personality, to their nature. To educate their powers, their abilities and powers, and their desires and their nature, and their kishroiness, their brain development, and their brain development, physical development, emotional development, and their yechoiness, their abilities, because some kids have more abilities, more brain skills. Some kids have less, some just conventional. So before we start to execute the chinuch, as I said yesterday, we have to first make a mental note. Mental note means, so I have the child, Baruch Hashem, God gave me a child. So let me first understand him. Let me first educate him. Who is he? What kind of powers he got? So let me assess his emotional, physical, and mental abilities. That's number one. Number two, let him provide, after we have it clear, let me provide him with information and with the workshop jobs, which are comparable to his brain development, emotional, and mental development, mental abilities. And this is number two. Number three, let me encourage him to execute with his abilities, and physical, emotional, brain abilities. Let me encourage him to execute the comparable jobs to his abilities. And that's what chinuch is. The interpretation of chinuch is in introduction to the job in which he will be. And that's the outlook that we got in chinuch. That's the interpretation of chinuch. That's avoid the chinuch. And according to this understanding, what parents got, can parents provide and be mechanech their kids properly and more effectively in their life. Be'ez Hashem will be mamshuk tomorrow. Kol tuv, atzloch rabba.